Yes, people. How's it going? Hope you all are doing well this evening. Flipping heck, it has been a long time. Please give me a sound check just to make sure that you can hear me. Man, I feel rusty as hell doing this live stream, but it's been a long time. It's been about time. I hope everyone is doing well. Um, Dr. Z, I see you in the back. I'm just going to bring you up in a quick second, but let me just get a mic check. One sec. Let me just see whether I can hear myself. One sec, people. One sec. Yep, everything's all good on this end. So, yeah, man, I'm not even going to take too long on this one. This is an open topic. All right, here we go. Let me bring up to stage. Dr. Zed, how's it going?
You already know who it is, man. You know it.
You know what? I thought so. You know what kills me? I was like, you know what? I thought so, but I didn't want to say it because I thought, you know. Anyway, I know it's February now, but I hope you're doing well in 2024. Hope life is treating you well, man. How's life?
It's been good, man. I got married at the end of last year.
Congrats,
Um,
congrats.
a black British lady, and I'm happy to have her, and long may it continue. And and Yeah, man. I might be heading over to the Caribbean later this year, probably. I've been keen to go to Barbados. I've heard many good things about Barbados and their Prime Minister Mia Mottley. I like what she's doing.
Yeah, she seems to
Um,
be head switched on. I've been wanting to go to Barbados myself. I know yeah, so I, it's a place I've been wanting to go to as well. I wanted to do quite a few places in the Caribbean, but yeah, Barbados is definitely on my hit list.
and I've started to donate to this. I think it's called like a Caribbean Olympiad thing. I don't know what it is, but it's basically some sort of thing for the youth to do robotics and computing and mathematic classes, and they compete against each other. And it was the second year last month of this Olympiad thing, and I feel like that's something that should be encouraged. So I'm trying to back it financially and support it. It's based in Bridgetown, actually. Um, I just see it like a positive thing, man, because I want to see more brothers and sisters doing, the things that are going to help in the next, couple of decades, like robotics and stuff like this. That's where the future is, you know.
Nice. I'm gonna take a look at that. So you said is it STEM
It's
Olympiad type thing?
I think it's like a Caribbean Olympiad is the name it's called. It's based in
Ah,
Bridgetown.
I'm gonna
Um,
look that up and might talk about that on the future because that is key. Because I'll share some about my private life a little bit. One of the reasons why I've been so like absent is because for the last like 3 years I've been taking an undergrad degree alongside working full time in data science and
mhm.
past did everything I need to do. But I know like machine learning, obviously data science, but STEM is huge. So it is good that a lot of us are in this space. So yeah, that's definitely right up my alley, man. I'm telling you. So I'm gonna be. I'll definitely look at that. But no, it sounds really good, man. Sounds really good. Can you actually back it financially? Are you looking for sponsors, or are you just
I mean, you can bucket like you could donate, like it says, support, and you click on the
yeah,
page, you can send money to it, and it's got, you know, you could email them and ask to donate and stuff like that to help fund it.
nice?
You know. Um, what I was gonna say is, but yeah, man. I mean, that is something I wanted to talk about topic wise. I wanted to talk about this migrant crisis, man, because if you looked at last year, there was a lot of high profile black, I hate to say this, migrants to the UK who were causing a lot of crime. And there's this old man, who we all know about, in YouTube. He's a British guy. Everyone know who's I'm talking about. He's got a big channel, 211,000 subscribers, and he's been feeding off this. And I think we need to really talk about, the possibility of a backlash against black people, not just in the UK but throughout Europe if this continues,
Mm.
because it is bad, man. This thing is a serious problem. And people, I don't know if they don't want to talk about it. Maybe I'm paranoid, but like that thing in Nottingham was done by someone who looks like us. There was something over the weekend in France done by someone who looks like us. Then there was the issue in Italy. Some island got bum rushed by 7,000 migrants that look like they have similar origins to us, you know. And then there was the care home incident where four people who look like they're quite similar to us, were abusing elderly English folk in a care home, you know.
Yeah, I read that. I read that. I was pretty disgusting. And do you know what kills me? part of me always wanted to push back and say, look, everyone has problems. Every group has their own problems. I'm pretty sure if you search, I don't know, problems at football games, you're gonna like to see white, working class white boys. If you see problems when it comes to not trafficking, what's the word I'm looking for, but underage white girls who are likely to be part of a ring, it's likely to be Asian boys. But there was a part of me that thinks, there is so much evidence which makes me think you're right. There is a backlash that's coming. I mean, it's already here, but the backlash is getting stronger and stronger, and it's not something that we can just idly sit by. I mean, my question to you is this: what do you think we can do? What do you think we should do about it?
So I'll tell you. Now, I thought back in the day, I was a pro black. Okay, I was maybe borderline Pan Africanist, and I thought, hey, there's an economic boom, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. I thought, hey, this everyone could go back and we'll live together and build Wakanda. And then, unfortunately, I've stepped into a couple of these live streams, African live streams, even FBA live streams, and then I heard stories, and I've even seen it a few times. People I know who were born, particularly in Africa, they leave for a period of time, and then they go back, and they're treated like they're someone like us, like you or me, a
Uh,
person who's born into the
outsider.
West,
Yeah,
exactly, and they get scammed to all hell. There's a risk
yeah,
of there's a risk of kidnapping, you know. There's obviously the reason why a lot of these high multinational companies don't like doing business there because there's issues with, violence, poor infrastructure, rampant corruption, possibility of war, things like that. And, right now it's a case of maybe trying to find pockets of excellence within the African diaspora, be that in Barbados that seems to be getting its head screwed on. There's only two black African countries I'd really even bother even trying, which would be Rwanda, which is a red flag anyway because Congo's nearby and that country's a total mess. Yeah, DRC. And then Botswana, but Botswana's doing well because they've got diamonds, but it's heavily controlled by Europeans and Dutch descendants, right? So, you just have to try and I don't think you could really be too comfortable in Europe, okay? I really don't think that's a good idea. You really just have to hedge your bets in places where you see pockets of black excellence or at least positivity or some semblance of stability as a plan B. That's what I believe. I could be wrong here, but that's what I believe. Or you just marry into a culture that's more functional. If you could marry a Gulf Arab woman, that'd be a good shout. Or
really? You think so? I would think their families would hate um, their daughters to marry into
of course,
definitely cross culturally, but definitely outside.
of course, you're right, but I'm just saying that because those guys have a decent future ahead and they seem to be improving all
Right.
these, you know what I mean? That's the only reason why they would touch our black ass. But the idea is going for a place that has a functionality and an upward trajectory because Europe is not that place and overwhelmingly black Africa is not that place.
I always thought because you go over to like Dubai and all them nations over there, they've got tons of wealth, which inequality there is rife, by the way. Um, but there's still places of excellence where when you go there, it's like people say it's soulless Dubai, which it is, but it's still got pockets. You can see the wealth being transferred and how they've built it. But yeah, I'm like, do we have that equivalent? Because I always thought a lot of the Caribbean nations could possibly become like the Monaco of the Caribbean in that respects. But it's just you're probably going to be pricing out a lot of the locals there because it's just poverty. I think a lot of this is because there's still so much poverty there, in which I don't know whether you want to link poverty and crime, if you want to link all these kind of factors as well. But and also when you got so many mineral resources, you're gonna have so many warring factions, and it seems to be just a combustible. Especially a lot of African nations got so many resources, so much potential, but it's just so much infighting, and it just curbs anything. And then the people who've got it, they want to hoard onto it. So many people don't want to relinquish power. It's just like there's not a great structure over there. It seems it's just crazy. Is that just can't be unique to us? Surely.
I don't know, but it seems to be more pronounced. I'll be honest, it seems more pronounced because even it's very odd that even it doesn't matter where we go by and large, if you place a group of us for the most part together, you will have higher than average crime, you will have higher than average single mother rates, because believe it or not, there are, and this is another thing that I've seen. A lot of Black African countries. We already know that Caribbean, Latin American, North American blacks, we tend to have higher degree of single mother rates compared to, let's say, Chinese in these same countries or Indians in these same countries. But you know, little is not known that in South Africa, Kenya, there's actually a very high Black African single mother rate, by the way.
Do you
Like,
know what? South Africa was I was watching and reading a lot of the horrible stuff that's going on in South Africa right now. I don't know if you how much you're aware of it. In terms of you got power outages. I know that's common anyway, but the power outages lasting pretty much almost like 24 hours. It's I think the unemployment rate, I swear I heard this was like plus over 80%. Crime is off the roof. And South Africa, and this was and it got me thinking because it was a white South African saying this, and he didn't say this, but it kind of inferred to me like as soon as apartheid ended, everything went down. And it's like as soon as black people got hold of something, it's like it's gone down. It's like, how is that possible? Now, of course, it's because of the ANC there, and I get it, it's because of that, but optics don't look great, does it? It just I was thinking, come on, come on, come on. You have the power, you have it in your hands, you have that situation. And I know there's outside factions, but it's just the optics look so bad when I was looking at South Africa, and everyone's trying to leave because it's just so bad. Same with
you,
Zimbabwe, that's another basket case. And these were powerhouses of the continent at one point. But again, it was all under foreign ownership. It's almost as if, again, it's a structure. It's just crazy. But I don't know,
but
bro. It's just,
but but
it's,
but the South Africa's an interesting story because a lot of the it's sad, but like I've been following to South Africa too because I'm interested, right? Because again, that was one of the countries where if you're Western black, that'd be one of the first countries you'd go to if you wanted to visit the continent. You'd say, I'll go to South Africa as an entry point, or
yep, yep.
Ghana as an entry point, or Kenya as an entry. Those
Kenya,
three
yeah.
countries, right? Because you think, okay, they're more developed. They have pockets of developed areas: Nairobi, Accra, South Africa, Johannesburg, definitely Cape Town. So I would let's check about South Africa. And the thing is that even in 1998, towards the end of the millennia, there was a message done by a European to the actual government, the ANC government, saying that within 15 years' time, the electricity infrastructure will break down. It can only handle this population. It's got a little bit of leeway, so it will last like a decade or so. But if the population were to continue without upgrades to the electrical system, we will find that you will have something called load shedding. The system will not cope with the demand.
Yeah, load
And
shedding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
they didn't care. They didn't try to do anything about it. They a lot of them pocketed money. The leaders pocketed money instead of putting it back into the infrastructure enough that was required. They didn't bother trying to innovate or to try and maintain, and it turned to crap. You get load shedding, and even now there was an Economist article, I think it was 2 years ago, saying that Cape Town is more popular than Johannesburg, and more black South Africans try to move to Cape Town because Cape Town's got a white mayor and it's a white South African city, whereas Johannesburg is a black South African city, right? So even the natives themselves say, "Hey, we'll choose Cape Town over Joburg because the governance is better," you know. And then last year, 27,000 plus homicides in South Africa. I wish I was joking, but there were 27,000 plus homicides in South Africa with a current murder made solve rate person was arrested for the murder of 12%. 12%,
Oh, oh.
So, you know, and so there is. So the solution, man, I don't know. The solution right now is definitely not, by and large, Africa, unless you're well connected and you're willing to deal with a lot of, insecurity it is what it is. It's just we're just in a really bad position, man. I feel bad, and there's a lot of black people don't like each other. I've noticed that on these live streams. I'm sure you did. Somalis call us all horrible names. I'm not going to repeat what the names are, you know. And then
Yeah,
FBA has issues with Caribbeans. FBA don't get along with Africans definitely, and Africans, my goodness, a lot of them don't like diasporans. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't this way, but it is that way, unfortunately. Um, so I don't know what to do, man. You're a smart guy. Help me out. What's the solution?
I mean, I will say this. Personally, I have seen some differences online versus offline. A lot of it could be because what people want to say online, they won't say offline, and it seems a bit more copacetic. Um, So I will make that distinction first off by saying a lot of the online stuff, which God, this has been going on for ages, by the way. It has been, I think, more exaggerated because it's online and it draws clicks, views, and everything like that at all. So I will make that distinction. But as for a solution, I say this: we need. I was talking to my brother about this, and he said this: we need like a Napoleon, because Napoleon. If you look at the history of Europe and how it had so many wars, what Napoleon actually did is, in terms of France, because obviously, a lot of these areas they had fractions, but he pretty much joined the fractions under this French Revolution, French unionship. I think we need something like that when it comes to, you know what? I know you'll say you're part of this tribe, you're part of that tribe, but you know what? Bun that, you're part of this, and we're gonna make it this, and we're gonna just ring fence it. But yeah, that's gonna cause a lot of bloodshed, and that we we ain't ready for that kind of stuff.
But there's already been bloodshed, a lot of
I know.
bloodshed. A lot. Look, even Haiti's disappointed me, but that place has gone
Yeah.
berserk.
I know, and again, there's historical factors with Haiti as well, with a lot of nations when it comes to historical ties. In terms of when they was freed from slavery, they had to pay the debt off to France to still become free. And a lot of that could be attributed to just once you have a massive debt pile, it just keeps on. It's like a negative spiral. But yeah, you're right. Listen, Haiti going through so much issues right now. It's just listen. It's madness all over the place.
And,
It's
and
crazy.
there's another issue, man. Because like I never knew Haiti and Dominican Republic are about 11 million people each. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Dominican Republic is doing so well economically. I was so it's such a big economy. Like the economy is doing so well. Dominican Republic. I think the GDP per person, according to PPP, is 27,000, and Haiti's is only 3,000. I mean, it makes you wonder sometimes, man. I don't know, man. It's I don't know what to say, man. It's just all bad, man. Maybe I'm being too negative, but man, I used to be all about Pan-Africanism and we could do this and Mama Africa will save us all and stuff like this. But then a realization hit me, and it's about black people worldwide, by the way, some places more than others, is that I used to think that it was outside circumstances that led to the position that we're in, yeah? And then I realized something is that there's probably either something culturally, and I'm not saying genetics, I used to say genetics, I'm not sure that something culturally that predisposes us to maybe the crime thing, maybe not being great at impulse control and having unstable families. And the other thing was being prone to corruption and low empathy. I used to think, yeah. So I think now there's a cultural reason why the results are the way they are, and that means I could be really harsh even more because it's not genetic.
Yeah, because that's just about upbringing. That's about social values. That's just about kind of what you as a group agree to be the norm, the cultural norms. And yeah, I mean, listen, the problem is, I think we see a lot of the worst inside ourselves. I think that's part of the problem as well. I think I don't know how you see things. If you see definitely more of a glass half empty type of person, but we will constantly see the worst in ourselves as opposed to kind of the best. Because even when I go to certain places in the Caribbean, I mean, on the whole, people are generally friendly. On the whole, people are generally caring. On the whole, people are generally good natured. But you are going to get people, as always, basically trying to play the game, play the system. You get a lot of scammers, a lot of people out there. That is true. But I think on the whole, there's a lot of good people here. It's just, you know what? For me, I always say, I don't know what it is, but at the top, when it comes to the leaders, where you set the tone, it's just awful. It's just awful. I think we're probably cursed with poor leadership. That's what I would say. Because even when you talk about Pan Africanism, a lot of the leaders in the Pan African space, oh my days, to say that they have issues, to say that there's scams, to say that the the scenarios that I've seen where I'm thinking these are people who are supposed to have your back. I'm not saying they're going to be perfect because there are things which happen, which okay, mistakes happen. But I'm telling you, it's just crazy the amount of scams and the amount of people I've seen in that space who proclaim to say, look, I'm meant to have our people's back because, historical racism, white supremacy, da 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 da. But it's just you using it as a foil just for your own greed. It's crazy. And I think personally, it's just about poor leadership. I don't know what it is, but
But
yeah, we don't know how to also set up a structure so that even when we're now past it, we can devolve power to other people. I don't think we're I don't know what it is, but I think it's poor leadership in the main.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but didn't that saying to say people get the leaders that they deserve?
That's a fair point. That's a fair.
You know, and you know, and that's what I'm starting to feel. So like moving forward, like, you know me, I've got some extreme views apparently. So I'm just trying to take ownership of the cultural aspects or behavioral aspects that I suspect are more of an issue in the Niger Congo people group, which I can see, and you know, um, I just have to try and make a change, and you know, start small and branch from there. And if
I
I
mean,
see other black people who are in a similar wavelength, I'll encourage it.
and I think that's the key. Really, that's the only thing you can really do. I think sometimes we're sort of we have to try and change the world. We have to try and change this. I'm like, yeah, yeah, listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't help people, but sometimes you're right. Start with what you're doing in your own life, isn't it? And what you can control. There's certain things you can't control. Try not to worry about it. But what can you control? Try and worry about that. I mean, for example, you've obviously you married and everything at all, so you've definitely become a um obviously you started your own family and things like that at all. So that's gonna be hella important because you're gonna be ushering the next generation of your name. So yeah, man, that's definitely gonna be something which you're gonna have to make sure you keep your eye on. Because I know again a lot of people again now going back to leaders now, their house is not in order. And it's like flipping heck. Again, I know you can't control people. I know certain households, as best intentions, you try and raise them up the right, they'll just go a different way. But my days, it's crazy carnage, man. So yeah, big up to yourself, man, because again, it's not many people who I think with your mindset, I don't know, with marriage and stuff, but no, big up to yourself. Big up to yourself.
What do you mean? I'm interested. Go on this because no. Please expand. I'm curious, man. I'm bad at seeing myself as how other people see me. I'm not good at that.
Well, personally, you come across nihilistic. So the last thing I believe you'd want to do is two things. I mean, I don't know about your views on children, but the last thing I think you'd want to do um, is definitely, I suppose, procreate in a world like this because it won't make logical sense. Why would you want to extend the cancer that exists within X group, Y group? It kind of wouldn't really make sense considering. And you come across more like very nihilistic, but you seem to have a bit more of a positivity about you when I can speak to you now. But yeah, that's the reason why I say marriage and things of that nature. But
I
yeah,
tell you,
no, man.
I tell you why. Because you know, I found someone who was, you know, at first I thought the person was naive.
What to be to go out with you?
No, I just thought in general. 'Cause I was like, how could someone be this kind? I was like, how could you be
Oh,
so
okay.
positive? You know what I mean? I was like, this is, how do you survive like this? I was wondering, like, you know, how can you go through life this vulnerable? You know what I mean? You know, very different from me. Way more positive, and people person. You know, and altruistic and stuff. So she gave me a bit of hope in people, to be honest. I'm being serious. This is crazy. This sounds like some sort of Jack Nicholson, as good as it gets type. Good movie, by the way. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, so that's it, man. You know what I mean? Because you meet someone like that, it just makes you feel like, you know, that there's hope. Someone's very different from me, and I think I needed that. To be honest, I think I needed that.
No, no, big up, man. Because I think you hit the nail on the head. And part of my little absence, my leave. One of the things I've noticed is if you stay away from certain content and certain things and just try and not look for the negatives, you just like it does give you a little bit of hope. Now it's hope that kills you. I will say that it's the hope that kills, but at least it gives you some sort of light to glean onto. Because sometimes I see people in this space and I'm like, man, you're being bogged down with the space that you're in, whether it be um, even certain self help spaces. But yeah, certain spaces, man, they're just bad for your mental health. So I'm not no doctor or psychologist, but even just me myself, I'm like, yeah, let's stay away from this. Let's not try and look too negative. Because negativity also sells. So you got to understand that when it comes to media outlets and things that you see, unless something amazing happens in your life, you generally tend to focus on the small negatives, but never the small wins. So I'm like, okay, let's look at the wins. Let's look at the positives as opposed to always looking at the negatives. So yeah, but no, I'm glad. I'm glad, man, that you found someone who's give you that hope, that that sort of that thing that you needed. So hold on to it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Oh man, you stay safe, and it's good to have you back. And we need you, man. I like your stats videos. I like that numbers, man. I like all that number stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I was gonna. I wanted to debunk a few narratives really, and I got some stats really that I wanted to do because one of the things I'm trying to do in 2024 is just try and a lot of narratives get spun, but yeah, I'll try and come up with some stats, man, some videos and everything like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just don't name your channel something debunked, man. Don't do that. We've already got one debunked out here that's causing mayhem in UK YouTube. And there you go.
I know, and I think you see how I say easy, but you see how again with every crisis becomes an opportunity for somebody to pin the blame on a particular group or someone like that. And it's one of those things again where it's just like negativity grows so quickly, man. Even when I look at GB News, and one of the things that really kills me is where I always see, and I get this premise that black people don't always have the same viewpoint. I get that, but you want to see certain black people who always seem to have a certain viewpoint. I'm like, you gotta. It doesn't even seem real. It seems like you just paid to say these things just to be the opposition. And I'm like, oh, come on now. I mean, surely you don't believe that all the time about it. It's like you just seem to be paid just to be in a roadblock. Does that
Oh,
make any sense?
Femi. Yeah, I know that guy. Femi's one of those guys. Yeah, the guy called Femi. I know this guy. They hate him on
Oh,
GB News.
well, I don't know, but there's a lot of them on GB News, in my opinion, sometimes. So, um, yeah, man, it's just like grief. You again. It's like whenever there's someone that
Yeah.
want to go against black people, wheel them out, wheel them out, wheel them out, wheel them out. So,
Oh, that woman with the weave. What's her name? Yeah, the one with the weave. I know which one you're talking about. The lady with the weave, the big weave. She's very popular.
but
Uh, yeah, I know which
it's
one.
it's just like, come on now. I mean, I always, I'm always like this. Yeah, you should hold yourself accountable for your actions. Don't get me wrong with that. I like to do that, but then there's always a bit of, well, come on now, that's not true, and you are playing to the gallery. That's how I see him, as you're playing to the gallery, um, and it's almost if they can't even push back on things which that's not really true and that's not how it really is, and you should be able to enlighten your viewers. Actually, that's not really how it is, but no, it's just playing to the gallery. So yeah, it kills me, kills me.
Oh yeah, and congrats on the degree, getting it done. That's great achievement, man. That's really.
Yeah, man. It was crazy, innit? 'Cause I was working full time and everything. And listen, big up to my workplace because they pay for it and everything. Um, so yeah, they were good in it. And just because of where I'm in my workplace and everything, it was really good. So now they pay for it, and yeah, set myself up for the foreseeable future. So I'm really buzzing, and it's just giving me a lot of a lot more options, I suppose. Even though I was all good at the moment, but no, yeah, it was a good decision I made at that time. So yeah, yeah, it paid off. But boy, busy, busy, busy.
Oh, that's good. Anyone else lined up behind me? Oh, I hope there is. Is there anyone? Jam
No, I'm
thoughts?
listen.
Anyone?
You can jump off if you want to. I mean, listen, people. There's the links in the chat. It's just an open topic, open mic. It's not really a topic. I was going to have something planned, but on my first sort of live stream of 2024 in a long time, I've just left it open. So no, there's no particular topic. So anyone can jump on. Link is pinned to the chat. So by all means, jump on. I'm not gonna keep you too long, people. But yeah, that was the plan. So yeah, no one's behind me, so you can jump off, or if you want to stay,
No, I've got
you
a
can.
question about nihilism. Yeah, what exactly makes someone nihilistic, anyway? What is it? Because like I'm still, if you're nihilistic, you wouldn't really have passion. You know what I mean? Because you could tell I care about certain things. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
true,
if I
true.
didn't care, I would that would make you a, that would be more nihilistic. You know, but I could get heated, I could get passionate about certain topics. So it shows I care,
It
even just a
does. I
little
think
bit.
maybe probably the outcomes. I think maybe it's just like it all roads point to destruction. All roads point to where not good enough. I think that's kind of where I probably mean it in that kind of way. Where no, I do sense your passion and you care, but it's just like whew, it's almost as if you feel as if there's just no hope, I suppose.
Yeah, another thing I didn't know is there's one group of people, it's a country where the people look a bit different from other black people, so that gives you which country I'm talking about, yeah. Have you ever had any problems with them on your channel, or have you seen a disproportionate amount of beef coming from that group in these YouTube streets?
Not on my channel. I'll say I've
Okay.
heard it, but not on my channel. So my channel kind of stays away from in general a lot of beef, but yeah, not on my channel. Because
Okay.
I've had a couple on my channel, but no, not on my channel. So it's been pretty calm. So
Okay, that's good, man. Because
yeah,
my goodness me, some of the stuff I've seen, I'm going to some of these live streams and Twitter Spaces before I left them, and man, some of the comments they were saying is crazy, man. It's very nasty, very very nasty. And this goes back to a point I'm going to talk about. This is a general point, is that I think people need to start looking at where people come from. What does that mean? So if someone comes from a country that is war torn or extremely corrupt or violent or something, this is what I'm talking about. People need to think about whether or not these countries are a result of the people that are there or the culture that is there. So if you interact with someone from that country or culture, like an immigrant from that country culture, you have to realize that there may be a higher chance of them trying to do physical things to you, higher chance of them being more volatile, higher chance of them being more prone to shady business practices. And I never used to think like that, but now I'm starting to think that intuitively I have, with experience, not really intuition, that I'm starting to do that now. So when I see a Chinese person, I'm like, this person is very unlikely to rob me, uh, do something to me physically, you know, and you know, and be less prone to anger, rage, impulsiveness. You know what I mean? And if I juxtapose it, yeah, is that harsh to say?
I mean, listen, it's what you said is just real. I mean, it's of course you're stereotyping. You've just completely just stereotype everyone. Um, but I remember I was saying something, and at the end of the day, self-preservation unites us all, regardless of whether you want to say, no, not everyone's like that. And it's true. There are some situations where you're like, I'm really worried about, keeping my black backside safe. So I'm gonna do this I'm gonna not, go on that side of the road, on that side of the road. But you have to stereotype people. But you're just being real, I suppose. That's how you say how you see. But what influences that? Is that based on your experiences, or is that based on what media's portrayed it to you?
You know, it's about things I read. It's about personal experiences. It's a lot of it is based on news, GDP data, homicide rates, corruption indices. All these things I know. Yeah, I kind of if I see it, yeah, I go okay. I wonder why things are like this, or oh, okay, I wonder why it's like this. You know what I mean? Like I asked.
Let me ask this though. So, if you meet a person from a particular group and they completely flip the stereotype on its head, do you then say it's just that individual person, or would you then say, maybe the group is not like that? How do you do that?
I'll be honest. I'll go out. This is an individual, and what's that thing called?
See, now
Yeah.
this is where I've faced that myself, where I've been in um meetings, I've been in teams where I'm the only black guy there, and I've had a situation where another black guy's coming and they'll ask me, "Oh, is he safe? Is he like, you know what I mean? Is he like you, or is he?" Because what they do is, like you've just done, they've just individualized me, but they've still kept that stereotype. So that can be quite dangerous. I ain't gonna lie to you, but
But no,
it is real though. But the thing is, you being real, you being honest. So I respect it.
but then again, you are strange though because like you know how I butt heads with a couple of other people in the space, yeah. But I've never really butted heads with you at all. So either you're very easygoing and open-minded and tolerant, which could be the case, you know, or for another reason, I just get along very well with you. I can't pinpoint why that is. To me, I would trust you more than I would trust the vast majority of other, Black British people in this YouTube space because you struck me as someone with integrity and more so than others. That's just my experience. You know what I mean? That's what I get from you as someone with integrity more so than other people. So, and that's something that for the most part, I'll say this straight up right now. I don't care. I'll say it. I don't really get that feeling of integrity that much for most black people I meet in the UK. That's just the flat out truth. Okay? I know that
Man, I
sounds
mean that's
horrible, but I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
it. I don't care if I sound like a raccoon. I've said it.
And part of me thinks, I don't know if it's just location. I don't know whether it's familiarity, because one of the things I've realized is, if you're in your home city, in your hometown, you know it too well. You know the bad people, the bad parts, because you've lived there, you know it. And when you move to a foreign place, things feel different, even if it's in a different city, even if it's in a different part of the city, it just feels different. I don't know, maybe it's just familiarity. A lot of times it can breed a lot of contempt, but I mean, I take what you said as a compliment about me, definitely. So I do take it as a compliment, but I don't know, maybe it's just you've had a lot of negative experiences and it's just, yeah, it's shaped how you viewed everything and how you are.
Yeah, I guess.
All
Well,
right.
man, I'm gonna jump off, man. I'm gonna go to sleep.
Oh
Got a new
no,
person
don't
coming
go,
in.
because I have a question for you.
This is an American.
Yeah, Stanley.
Yeah,
He's a regular on this channel. So welcome, Stanley. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
fire
doing
away.
good. I'm glad to have you back, Will.
Thanks.
Dr. Z, I know you have to go, but something Wim asked you about, and correct me because I probably don't have the exact words right, but it was something about stereotypes.
Yeah.
And the question I had was if, say, someone who doesn't look like you or a stereotypical person comes up on your turf, like where you usually hang out, do stereotypes apply there? And there's a reason I'm asking the question. So don't think I'm drifting off.
He's asking me, yeah.
Yeah, like if you were in a private like golf club, in America we have country clubs where they play golf and tennis, and they were generally kind of like Euro American spaces, rich people, all that stuff. And, a lot of the wait staff tended to be, say, black or, less fortunate whites. If someone out on, say, that golf course or a tennis court is black, would you, what would you think of that black person? He is in your space, like a rich space, and let's pretend you're rich. Would you have the same stereotype?
No, no,
Like, would
because
you think,
obviously,
oh, this black person is just like, hey, why is he here? Or she?
no,
Or her?
no, because I would say this is. I already know that there's been a vetting process that have been there. This isn't just
Okay,
someone I've met on the
good.
bus. I'm knowing that okay, this person's obviously got some sort of social clout, financial clout. He's not going to do
Hmm.
anything crazy. He wouldn't do
Hmm.
anyway. So he's been vetted. And number two, if I spoke to him and he said, "Oh, I'm the prince of Zambia or something, or I work for an oil company in Angola or something," then that would set off a stereotype in my mind and say, "Oh, does this guy have money because he's stealing money from his home country?" That's the only thing.
I
No, no,
I
that's not
see.
funny.
So you're trading one stereotype for another.
If only if he said something that would set off a stereotype. So I thought, okay, this guy obviously has money, and then he says, "Oh, I work for an oil company in Angola or something, or a country that's heavily
Mhm.
corrupt, or diamonds or something in some country, or I'm
Well,
my dad's the president."
yeah, yeah. You know what? You kind of trump me because your experience is different than mine. We don't get a lot of princes from, you know, uh, African
Angola.
princes in America. We tend to
Hey, trust
have
me,
more like,
Stanley. We don't. They lie. They lie. By the way, we don't. They all lie. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, honestly,
but
they do.
but I want to ask you the opposite. If you were a fish out of water in like some hip hop club in the Bronx, like a pop up like party or rave or something in the United States, and you were the only non African descended person there, and you might be, so correct me if I'm wrong. Would you still have stereotypes, or would they stereotype you?
I mean, I'm black by the way, but I know my voice probably doesn't sound like that.
Well, that's
What I was
fine.
gonna say, what I was gonna say is, yeah, I'd expect to be stereotyped because I know I am stereotyped in
Why
that
would you
environment
expect to be stereotyped?
because I would be the hyper minority in a place that people wouldn't expect someone like me to be in.
Okay. Well, I guess you answered my question, and I'm an older person than y'all. Um, my lesson is it doesn't matter. You will always be you. you know, you're either smart or you're not. You either, and I know this sounds like a really weird point, but you are you. you are part of a larger community. There is such a thing as identity politics. That's kind of an American term. But the one thing that I've learned over my like 59 years is you can step into the middle of the North Pole and be surrounded by like polar bears and people who know how to survive in the Arctic. And if you are actually somewhat humble, ask to learn, don't do stereotypes. I, and I don't mean to sound like, the flying nun or some Pollyanna, but good people tend to survive longer than people who jump to stereotypes. And people who are quick to, there's a Abraham Lincoln quote. It's better to, you know, it's a paraphrase, but it's better to not say much and people think you're stupid than open your mouth and prove them right. And to me, that's kind of been like a truism. You learn more by listening. And maybe I've overstepped my bounds, but stereotypes are stereotypes, but living by them or, doing that first conclusion like, oh, this is a black person in this space or a white person in that space. Um, I'd
So Stanley,
say
Stanley, can I ask you a question?
it's a
Because
coin flip.
Stanley, let me ask you this because
Sure.
this,
I overtalked. I'm sorry, Wayne.
no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But a lot of times, a lot of people have said this, just in general, that before you've even opened your mouth, people have made about 101 um
Yes.
descript. They've made
Stereotype.
assumptions about you. So I was gonna say, so yeah, assumptions about you. And obviously they're all linked with stereotypes. They'll look at your height,
Mhm.
you look at how good looking you are, you look at your race, maybe if you are overtly have any religious signs, you wearing
Mhm.
maybe a burqa, all this kind of thing come into place as to why before you even open your mouth. That's why sometimes people say, oh, I didn't think you sound like this when they met me first time in person. It's like, oh, I didn't think you looked like that. Oh. It's because everyone's makes so many assumptions because it's just
Mhm.
human. And you could say it's stereotypes. I mean, do you not think that's something which is natural? It may not sound so great, but
Oh, no,
it's
no, no. Of course it's natural. But if you are you in that space, if you're wearing a burqa or you have, like a southern accent or, just um let people figure out if their stereotypes are wrong or right. Now, there are times where, if someone like wants to, put you in danger because of their stereotype, then all bets are off. But, in a normal day to day, we met at a restaurant or it's a blind date or something like that. Let them figure it out.
okay. Because I know a lot of people. That's
Sometimes it's more interesting to listen to people. Now, of course, it's not 100% solution. I might be just kind of, you know, drifting off into some things that I've learned in the past. But I think sometimes there's a good chance that person's stereotype, they will tell you, well, damn, I was wrong. I've had that happen. Like I had no clue.
yeah. I've had that happen before, and sometimes I have to. The thing is, I have to try and take it in a real calm way. I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched. I'm sure you watched Dave Chappelle, his skits back in the day,
Oh yeah, yeah.
where he does the keeping
And
it
he
real
makes
goes
huge
wrong.
fun of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Where he does the keeping it real goes wrong, and you're right. There are people who they will tell you if you change their viewpoints on. But I always said, like I said to Dr. Zed, and I said a lot of people, even though they may have said Stanley, oh, I was way off about you. What they'll still do is that they'll still compartmentalize and say that's Stanley. However,
Yes,
Stanley's people
yes.
are still this. That's what happens. See what I mean?
And you know what? If you can't think past that compartment, that's problematic in and of itself.
It's true, but it's just it's what happens, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's just it's programming. A lot of time it's programming, but it's just I
Right.
always say it's part of your self defense mechanism. Just because you want to
Could
try
be.
and protect yourself. So there's certain stereotypes where, unfortunately, when you go into a an airport and you see certain people, like, oh, and listen, you're trying your best to try and stave your mind off it because stats won't back up your claims, but you are trying to, every creature is base instinct is survival, regardless of
You know what,
anything.
though? You are the most interesting person on YouTube. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm not even like, you know, you know better than that. You can ask a question, but truly smart people will learn the lesson from that one time they got a stereotype wrong.
Yep.
And next time they may be right, but that's how learning works. You kind of figure out, um, rules of the road. And to me, anyway, and this is actually kind of learned experience over the years. Some of the best friends I've ever had were like, now in an American context, some of the best friends I've ever had were pure rednecks. No, and you would think, and I'm not even kidding, I'm not even exaggerating. So, a smart person, that one experience, exceptions don't prove the rule, but there might be a rule.
No. I definitely do understand what you're saying, Stanley, and I do take it. I think it's just a case of that one time your smart ass tries to be too smart. That could be the last time you actually, you
Don't
know what I
be
mean?
too smart.
But well, yeah, I
Well,
know.
that's part of don't take it too far.
Yeah, true. But yeah, no, I definitely hear what you're saying, Stanley. Um, I don't know, was any sort of other things you wanted to pivot to at
Oh
all?
yeah, Stanley, can I ask him a question?
Yeah, of course,
Which
of
which
course.
part of America are you from again? Which state?
The South, Georgia.
Okay, Georgia. Okay, fine. So you guys don't really have that migrant crisis thing I keep on hearing popping up in the
Of course
States.
we do.
Are you serious? You got sanctuary cities over there?
Well, define sanctuary city
I don't
because,
know.
and I'm not going to give you an American history lesson. That sanctuary city part of that argument is really just politics because America's always been a sanctuary. Have you heard of the Statue of Liberty? We have always been a sanctuary.
You tell that to Tariq Nasheed, man, because like
I
those guys.
don't really care because Tariq Nasheed. Let's not go there. I would. I don't do that sort of stuff. Think about American history, though, and this is what really annoys me. And I'm not going to bore you with details about American history, but west of the Mississippi was nothing but a sanctuary city. The Europeans who came here in 1607, America, before it was America, was a sanctuary city. It's always been a country of immigrants. And, and I'll stop here, but you need to rethink that question and you need to do some reading about the history. And if you want to take a political point about sanctuary cities, it is a very recent, very sound bite point.
What happens if these? Let's just got a quick question. What happens if you had these migrant? Let's just say sanctuary cities. What happens if you find that a couple of these guys, obviously waiting asylum or being considered for permanent stay in the United States? What happens if they did
Do
violent
they
crimes?
deserve it?
Well, no, no. What happens if they did a violent crime?
Have they done the work to become an American citizen? I say yes.
Okay, all right
But
then.
let me also do a weird flip. What if some like, do you know who Whitey Bulger is?
No.
Or Al Capone?
Yes.
These were, quote unquote white people who were like huge criminals. Would you agree with revoking their citizenship and tossing them out of the United States?
Yes.
Because they did more harm than your average Mexican ever did.
Okay. But times are different now, and we know better.
Times have always been different.
Okay. Hey, it's your country. I ain't gonna fight it. But for me, in the
Well,
country I live in,
that's actually the smartest thing I've heard you say. It's your country. You don't understand it.
yeah,
So
exactly.
let's not go too far.
Yeah. But for me personally in the UK, if someone arrived in the back of a lorry to get into the UK,
Mm,
I
mm.
think I don't care if they do the work to get into the country or not. They gotta go. And if they commit a crime while being assessed, they gotta go.
And you know what? I would never. The only thing I want from England specifically is I want to hang out in the Yorkshire Dales in, in Scotland. It's going to be cold and I will be foreign, but it is. But other than I know that I'm going to hang out in some small village in the Yorkshire Dales, I don't do um, English criticism. I don't understand the culture. And I don't do comparative culture. Like, immigration in America is not like immigration in England or Britain. I just don't know enough. And I would never. I'd sound dumb. So I don't do it. So teach me about immigration in England.
No, just in general, in Europe, we've got quite a bit of a migration issue, particularly from West Asia, North Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa. There's a lot of illegal migrants fleeing these regions, heading south, due to the relative prosperity and lower murder
Do they
rate.
go to the Yorkshire Dales?
Uh, some may do, but they seem,
I bet they
yeah,
all hang out in London.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much
you
it.
they've been in bigger cities like your London, your Birmingham's, your Manchester's, just because that's where like most migrants and immigrants will tend to flock to industrial
Right,
cities at least,
right,
just
right,
because of
right.
opportunity.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
And there's been a couple of stories of people who have come and have acquired citizenship, committing crimes. You're not even citizens of the country, committing murderous crimes throughout Europe. And as a result of this, and the small landmass comparatively to other parts of the world, is that it's caused people to kind of not want non-natives in in the continent, right? And most certainly people who are not born in the country. It seems to be a very negative atmosphere because this is not like the United States. This is more of a Europe isn't more of an ethnic homeland type place. It's not like Australia or Canada or USA where it's more of a multi easier to do multiculturalism, you know what I mean, compared to an old world ethnic homeland like Europe. You see what I'm saying? So this is why it's harder.
I think I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's just
It's white and it should stay fairly white. That's what I'm hearing. You can
pretty
correct
much.
me.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much it, yeah.
You know what? I think I would fit just fine in the Hebrides.
As long
I
as you, as
like,
long as you don't mind the cold up
I
there.
like, I would wear a kilt if they gave me
No.
one. No, I'm joking. But no, you know what? Um, I'll stop when you. uh, I see. I see Europe is a little bit more insular than America, and America's pretty insular.
I, there's definitely been a rise of like far right populist movements in Europe that's spread across Europe. I know France, Netherlands, obviously Britain, Great Britain. So I think even Sweden are having a massive because of the issues that's happening with the Albanians in Sweden and people like that. So there is a massive far right populist movements that's sweeping across Europe because, to Dr. Zed's point, there's an issue here which
Well,
coming
you
across.
and Zed teach me why that's a huge problem, and I understand the crime. I understand the culture clash, so I'm not totally ignorant. Now, I do agree if you are literally going to go from, say, pack from in a Muslim country to a wide open Western culture, um, you can carve out your own little corner, but you need to adapt to the country, not the other way around. Now, that's a huge problem. And I'm aware of some of the issues in Britain proper. Um, it wouldn't hurt. I'm aware of that culture clash, and England is right. The white people are right. You know, you don't have to be grateful. You don't have to thank God you made it from Calais, but you do have to obey our laws. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things here. There's obeying the laws of the land, and then there's
Yeah,
but then there's almost, I won't say cultural laws. I think that's the only way I can describe it. But there's cultural differences, which
norms, cultural
cultural
norms.
norms. That's right. That's the word. Cultural norms, which um, escape a law, which a lot of
Yes,
groups when they come in because they want to carve out their own little, let's say, little
yes,
Italy in England, little
and they,
Pakistan.
you know what?
That's yeah.
They're wrong.
But, and the thing is, legally they can do that. There's no one stopping you from opening a store which caters towards a certain community. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with opening a mosque. There's nothing wrong with um,
absolutely.
opening up a lot of these things which cater towards certain communities. That's how they all seem to have their own conclave whenever you go
But
to.
and you make a great point. Um, where is it? Somewhere where we want to bring Sharia to to like the West. Not gonna happen.
Well, this is where
And
I mean,
half the people who escaped from an Islamic country don't want Sharia either.
but this is where, Stanley, to your point, there are a lot of Islamic banks. There's a lot of
Right,
Islamic
right.
teachings, or I mean, if it's Shahir, I'm not too sure because I'm a bit ignorant of that, so I won't say I profess to know that.
I got it. It's my bad.
No, it's fine. But I know for us, there's a lot of situation that takes place where they will acquiesce to not the laws of the land, especially when it comes to marriage, where the women
Hmm.
have been treated disrespectfully because in their culture they still abide by a lot of their cultural traits,
Hmm.
and yeah, that's part of the issue that takes place. Even when it comes to say this,
If Yeah, I know where you're going with, certain like practices
yep,
with
yep,
daughters and all that stuff.
yep,
I get where you're going. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, I would probably be called white for for my point of view.
Well, this is
I
where
would,
You and Dr. Zed would kind of have a similar viewpoint, really. Or, well, maybe I might be speaking a bit
yeah.
too much,
And
but
I've been to. I was in the U.S. Navy. I've been to, a couple. I've been to Saudi Arabia. I've been to the Persian Gulf and loved it. I It was great, but I wouldn't want to live there. So when you immigrate, you might have to shed some of the cultural baggage. And and of course, obviously, a bunch of people don't, but I think they're fools because what happens when their kids do? And that is I've heard stories about young females in England. It has happened in Canada, in America too. And I think that's just brutality. And this is where you might we should talk offline about this, but no, you don't control what your well-educated kids want to do. And cultural baggage is really, truly baggage.
no, it is, and I've heard so
Stay
many.
where you were or go back.
Well,
You cannot change a whole country. You adjust to the country, not the other way around.
but there's only and this is down to, I don't know what, I think most people try their best to adapt to the laws, but there are some things that people want to hold to themselves because that almost is part of their identity. And I
Mhm.
think
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's the kind of the especially when it comes to someone's religion, someone's faith, and a lot of
You
their
know
commitment to
what?
time. So it becomes very
I
difficult.
know at least in the U.S. Let me put it to you this way, and again, I'm gonna escape off to some weird point, but I didn't grow up halal. I didn't grow up kosher. I'm a African American on both sides, descendant of slaves. However, um, I had a great family. Grew up, you know, elite education, all that BS. However, the best thing I ever had was like kosher or um, halal. And the thing that was so fascinating is the care that they take, and all people should take with their food. It, and I know this sounds weird, but I mean, they care about their food. That should be adopted into, U.S. culinary practices. It is, even if you bless the food, but meticulous, healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you.
We should be thinking about that sort of stuff.
Well,
So, I mean, what I'm saying is cultural exchange actually works. Let's not just take the toxic stuff. FGM? No, you don't
yeah,
want that in America. We want halal.
How about
yeah,
cousin marriages?
probably not cousin marriages.
But
I think
you have to be careful about that. Europeans have been doing it forever.
we start.
That wouldn't be a cultural change.
Well, regression, and that'd be a cultural regression. That's what we would call it.
I mean, Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt was a cousin of Franklin Roosevelt. I don't even want to talk about the royal family,
Yeah, no, no,
British
no, no.
royal family.
That is well documented, well documented. But I think we've now, our cultures have evolved. I think this is the difference. We see certain cultures as a bygone era of, I'll be honest, the
Yes.
Dark Ages, where we know better, we do better. And I think it's just a case of certain cultures haven't secularized themselves in certain aspects, how we would see it.
Well,
And
it's nothing. I had to kiss some cousin when I was a kid.
yeah, but I'm hoping that's just the extent of what you do exactly.
Oh no, he didn't get married. But here's my point. Um, you know, in 2024, we know that there's certain problems when you dip into the same gene pool. In first cousins, second cousins, if there is like, so we know the signs. So, like an eighth cousin, yeah, just be sure. But, you don't want to do like first cousins, second cousins, even third cousins. But you know, Europe was a lot different back in the day. And I'm also going to go farther than that. And it's kind of a diversion. It fascinates me when Europe or Western chauvinists, that's what they call themselves in America, people who like Dante, who wasn't really a Western culture thing, or classical Greece, that wasn't really a European thing. Europeans were still painting their face with mud and fighting with spears back in those days. European culture is a myth. They learn their math from Arabs. They learn how to grow vegetables and stuff like that from Africans. And who invented drawn and quartered? It wasn't a civilized culture.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely know, I think it's more to do with the creation of things like democracy, Greece, um, industrial revolution. I think
But that's the point. Greece invented it, not England.
no,
And
but
I'm
Europe,
not
Europe as a
even sure
whole.
they perfected it.
No, but Europe as a whole. So when we say Europe, when you said European history, that's where
Um, no.
um,
Greece
Renaissance
and
period.
Rome conquered Europe.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. They colonized it. They
So
colonized.
there was no Europe when Rome was around. Rome Rome created Europe.
But that's what
So,
we mean,
if
isn't it,
you want to
Stanley?
go with that route, but they taught the Europeans to wash their hands before they ate.
Yeah, but we still consider Romans to be Europeans, even though it may not have been.
And I think that's a stretch. But
Okay.
that's my point. You go ahead. I'm not going to dispute.
No, no, that's fine. That's fine. But no, that's kind of where a lot of the European history how we were taught at school, at least in that respects. And then obviously for Britain, it's a lot to do with Battle of Hastings, Anglo Saxons, and Henry VIII. And
Anglo-Saxons had nothing. They were, oh my goodness.
but yeah, but this is
Don't
how
let
we were
me
taught.
go on about how the English used to talk about Mediterraneans.
Again, Europe has been fraught with dysfunction.
Racism.
Yeah, yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Um, Doctor said, did you want to? Were you going to ask another? Go on another point. I don't know whether I cut you off or anything. What were
Oh
you saying?
no, no, no. I was just listening. I mean, yeah. I'm actually playing. I'm playing Halo right now, man. To be honest, just
You're
been
playing.
Halo.
I have taken y'all way off base,
Um,
and I thank you, Will. But bottom line is, I don't know. I've been on a. You have to stop listening to sound bites and actually read a book or two to get an idea of what you're talking about.
I mean, to be
And
fair, I didn't actually give any opinion. I just asked the question.
oh no, I'm not blaming you. I'm talking in general. And actually, I might be the problem too. I don't read enough.
I think one of the things I've been doing, I've been trying to read a lot of different aspects of perspectives, because even history, again, even in the word history, it's always at the point of view. You try and be objective as possible. History should be, but there's always history is told by the victor, isn't it? It's always interesting to hear history from another person's point of view.
Well,
So
you also have to be careful of history. There's historiography. Um,
mm,
History's interpreting the past. It isn't data necessarily, it's interpretation of what the
true,
data meant.
true.
So you have to be careful.
No, 100% agreed. But a lot of times, some historical interpretations become the um the standard, the agreed
Oh
standard.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is
But
what
you
it's.
have to read. You have to read widely,
Well, this is
and
it. And then who do you believe? Who do you take?
you don't. But see that. Oh my goodness, you bring up a huge point. You don't have to believe. You have to. You have to. It's what you believe.
Oh,
Um. Oh yeah, absolutely. You can, and I'm kind of an American history person. I'm
okay.
horrible in European history.
All right.
However, you can. American history is fascinating because there are historians who think that America has always been on target and we are moving towards some utopia. And then there is the opposite side who thinks, we're just getting better, but we're not there yet. So that's the whole point of reading books. You form your own opinion. You don't have to pick a side, you just have to form your own opinion.
But there are some things which I believe should be, you know, objective facts that happen in history, which
Right,
I
but
believe.
who is I? I is whim. It's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you believe, and you take all the knowledge you have, you write a new book.
Oh gosh, this sounds like I don't want to be disrespectful to people, but sounds like how religions form and things of that nature.
Oh no, I'm not saying. All I'm saying is trust yourself.
Okay,
And
okay.
it took me a while to figure this out, and I often, because I like hanging out in right wing spaces, the conservative spaces.
Yep.
All books are not your evidence. Books are to inform. You have to make your own opinion. You might agree with the book, you might not, but this is people, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna fuss. And I tell my son this all the time. Books aren't here to Books are here to educate you about someone else's opinion, but they're also here to help you learn. Learning is forming your own thoughts. They might, you might agree, you might not. What if there's a third way and you form your own thought?
Boys, I'm stepping out. Nice speaking to
Original
you.
thinking.
I'm out.
Yeah, yeah. No worries. I'm gonna wrap up a little bit. I didn't want to go too long tonight, so thanks for thanks for
Got it.
thanks for hopping on. Thanks for hopping on. But yeah, I mean, Stanley, I mean, I hear your viewpoint. I do think that can lead down a completely rabbit hole, which I don't know. It sounds a bit more
I think it's the
Kanye
opposite.
thinking.
It's gonna
I
be
mean,
a new sky.
yeah, yeah.
Don't look at a rabbit hole. Take the rabbit hole, build, and and old man advised him apparently. But don't be trapped by the books you read, and that's what people do. I can quote all these statistics, and so said this, and so said that. Hell no. What do you think?
Yeah, but again, normally they are informed by the books that you read, um,
Right.
and that's the thing.
Well, I'm talking to you. You're informed. recommend books.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. But even myself, when I'm trying to inform myself, I do take my position, but it will be based, especially historical um history that has to be informed by people who
Right.
were, you know, who wrote books or there at the time.
Nothing wrong with an opinion. Just don't let it be an opinion without some sort of narrative. It doesn't have to be like straight statistics because I don't remember statistics, but I often go, hey, so and so said this, but I don't know. I know I sound ridiculous, but I think smart black men, smart people in general, and this was my point. You're not, you aren't dumb. Take all the information, agree with it or not, go against what you read, but make it original.
Okay, I mean, I mean, for me, Stanley, I hear what you're saying. It's just in the context of
Don't be
today.
scared.
No, it's just it could lead down. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are. I don't want to go for a tangent. I kind of want to end the stream a little bit, but it leads into a phase of there are more than two genders. Now maybe from a social construct, I can understand. Okay, but then biology, are there more than two genders?
Well, that's kind of a different argument,
You
but
think so?
I'm literally a biochemistry major. Don't
Okay.
gender is not biology.
No, that's just so gender social construct, isn't it? I would say, but
Well,
chromosomes and things like that, that's
it's
biology. Isn't
informed. It's informed. I
it?
mean, girls tend to this way, boys tend to that way. But
But the
when you
definition of
start
whether you are,
locking people into roles, that's where the problem starts.
so that's constructs of what we would determine what a man or a woman should do.
Oh,
But in terms of what a man or woman is, that's kind of where
well,
surely that's a biological component which I
oh
say
my
can't be
goodness.
argued. But Lord,
You have gone into philosophy
no.
because girls and boys pre-exist men and women. A lot of it is how you're raised.
You know what? I'm gonna end that thought there because I could go off somewhere in a tangent. I don't.
Well, am
This
I
is
wrong in saying that?
well. I don't know. I don't agree with some of the things you're saying. I know that
Do boys and girls pre-exist man and woman? There is such a thing as being a boy and a girl before you're a man or woman or puberty or any of that stuff.
I mean, if we talk about when we're in
And
the
that's the
womb,
biological fact.
but we do evolve to be one or the other. I mean, in the
Absolutely.
womb, yeah.
Uh I'm not. I think I see where you're going.
Okay,
You don't raise children in the womb. They have to be born first.
true. You know what? You know what? You know. What? Again, I'm gonna keep going on this one. So
Got it.
I
I
don't want
got
to
it.
do that. But Stanley, I appreciate
We're
as always your candor and you coming up here. So
in my
um,
stupidity, but I try.
sometimes I always think Stanley, you're like one of the sometimes one of the biggest trolls sometimes, and you do it in such a way which is like, but
But
no,
see, that's a weird thing. I'm not a troll. I just
I
ask
know.
questions. It's called the Socratic method.
I know. I know someone
Have
like that.
y'all not read?
No. The thing is, I 100%. I understand. I know exactly where you come from, but it's just you can come across so much like that. We're like, really, Stanley, really? But yeah,
All right. Well, I do apologize for that. I know Raven gets pissed off at me, but
yeah,
I really don't want to be a troll. The term, if you really have to go there, is gadfly, because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually interested in what people think.
No, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But as always,
All right.
thanks again. But yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in, and for those who watch on the playback, please make sure you like the stream, share, subscribe if you are new, and yes, thanks everyone for I am back, so I appreciate you all for for saying that. And we'll be coming back with some more live streams and more topics so we can get into it. Today was just going to be really an open topic, so there's nothing really in the books. But yes, we will be back with regular live streams. Just been a busy last few months, hence why my absence. But appreciate you all for coming here. Appreciate you all for listening. Until next time.